Hi, I'm Mick. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Future Sound Systems Cric. Look at that. Look at that synthesizer. Signal Sound sent this to me for a month to play with, and there's going to be some great videos either out or coming out that describe in detail the technical behaviours of this and how it works, how to use it. But for me, I just kind of selfishly wanted to just play with it, so I've integrated it into my studio setup here, and I've just made a bunch of music and sound effects and things like that, and I've filmed a bunch of it, and I'm just going to talk about what I like. Just to describe a bit what's going on in this jam here, all of the sounds are generated from the Crick. I'm using the Q Nexus keyboard there to send pitch and gate information into the synth. And I've got a bunch of percussion sounds that I recorded separately on the Crick that I've imported into the Digitats, and I've made a drum beat out of it. So yeah, this jam is just 100% Crick. It's sampled Crick and live playing Crick. It demands attention mostly because of this pin matrix, I think. This is a way of patching a synthesizer without cables. And it's a very generously outfitted synth here, so I can't even hold that up for too long. I'm not going to do that. Within this, it's you've got 3 oscillators, 1 filter, and you've got 4 function generators, and you've got sample and hold, a noise source, a VCA. Well, there's several VCAs, but there's one dedicated VCA for just doing what you want with. And within the oscillators and the filter and some of the other elements, there is a whole bunch of really clever forward-looking circuitry and behavior that Finlay Shakespeare, the designer of this synth, has put into it. I really struggle to describe the oscillators and how they work. I'll leave that to someone else, but in my experience with it, I can say that the oscillators are just insane. I've not heard an analog synth that can push the timbre of analog oscillators in such a way. What I was really trying to show with this jam was how you can start with such a smooth and beautiful sound and distort it and twist it and break it apart and create something really unique from it. You've got so many sound shaping tools at your disposal. You can really gesturally or expressively transform a sound through a whole range of different timbre extremes. A few of the folks I've spoken to about this synth all kind of think that this can sit in the center of a setup, and I completely agree. And I think that the main reason for that is because it's got a really generous set of utilities. It's got 4 function generators that can be individually addressed, and those function generators can cycle as well. So you've got 4 envelopes or 4 LFOs, or you can combine them together. They can manipulate each other. You've got other utilities like sample and hold and VCA and a noise source and that sort of thing. So all of those components you can send out of one of the 4 outputs, either in the front panel or on the back here, and that makes it a really handy toolbox for you to send function out of the box into other things. But it's also got 4 inputs as well. It kind of really reminds me of the Octatrap, because that's another central hub machine where you can use it as a mixer and sound processor. I mean, it's nothing like the Octatrap, but it kind of serves a similar role within a different kind of setup, So I've got a setup here of a few kind of weirdo esoteric instruments, and this thing is just a wonderful way to pull them all together, process them, hear them, jamble them up, and embellish with its own wonderful aspects. I've mostly been using it as a kind of a toolbox stroke sound processing unit, and I've got some jams that show that. This one's a bit of an experiment where I'm taking 3 sounds from the plum butter into the inputs of the Crick, and I'm using the amplitude of those sounds to trigger different function generators, which in turn are triggering different elements of the oscillators. This example was a bit odd, but it is really cool to be able to trigger aspects of the synth driven by other synthesizers. I think the strongest thing I can say for the Crick is that it's both a very distinctive sounding instrument where you will get sounds out of it that are unique to this thing, but it's also a super usable machine for a variety of purposes. The time I've had it in the studio, every time I've done audio work or music, I've integrated the Crick somehow, and that's not because I've been trying to use it, it's just because it's so useful. I'm a sound designer and it's a real sound design gem of a synth as well. I've got like a aux send in Ableton that I've been sending out into the Crick just to process sounds and create a bunch of sound effects with. I mean, I've got hours of recordings of sound effects with this thing. It seems like instead of creating a Eurorack modular system, they've gone, how do we adapt the circuit designs that we've made for Eurorack and then house them in a completely different interface which carries with it the intuitive and performative aspects of an instrument as opposed to a collection of modules. I'm not saying a collection of modules can't be thought of as an instrument, but this is very specifically designed for that. It's got a lot of expressivity in how it's put together, and the clutter-free but tactile nature of the pin matrix is a real kind of like win here. So that's what I've got to say about it. I think it's an absolute winner, and I want one.